Right now today it seems like the majority of the fish are coming out of these eelgrass beds, and I've just been throwing up against them or kind of paralleling them. But right now they're at their peak growth, so there's a number of fish in them, and I believe the reasoning for that is that the bait fish that are in here, shiners, red tails, fatheads, whatever it might be, seek refuge in these weed beds because they're, as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of places to hide in here, and that's part of the reason why these smallmouth are in here. And you wouldn't necessarily think smallmouth would relate to much for weeds and stuff in a river, but I mean, if this is where the bait are, this is where more than likely a lot of the predatory fish are gonna be. And of course, the swim bait emulates a bait fish to a T. The swim bait certainly gets the nod for that. We're in a river system, and naturally the water's got a little bit of color to it, so I'm able to get away with a straight braid. I'm running straight braid to my little swim bait. But the other good thing about braid is that, I don't know if you can see around here, there's a bunch of eelgrass that's floating around, and when I snap it and rip it, that braid will cut right through that eelgrass, not terminating my cast and fouling up every time. So with a real sharp rip like that, I mean, I can clear that, I can cut basically that eelgrass or whatever grass you might be dealing with. There we go. This is a 7-foot rod, and it's actually a medium light, and generally when I run straight to braid, I will usually favor a rod on the lighter side, just because I don't have a lot of forgiveness when it comes to that straight braid. You got that little swim bait right in the roof of his mouth. That's a little pulse, yum pulse. Nice little smallmouth. But with that lighter action rod, I don't tend to tear hooks out as easily. I go a little more ginger on them too when I'm running rods and reels with straight braid on, unless I'm, you know, frog fishing or something like that, but that's just a whole nother animal. So on spinning gear, I'll definitely run a little bit lighter action rod, whether it's a medium light. But I like that longer rod too, because as you can see, this isn't a real big swim bait. So I mean, I can blast the long cast with that if need be. We're on the river right now, so I don't need to. I've got a big eelgrass bed right here, and then you can see I've got kind of a cut bank here. I'm gonna fish two different styles right out of the gate when I look at either side of this river. I mean, I can straight reel this bait in if I'd like, and I'm covering water, so that's typically what I'll do. But if I do find a sweet little spot or something that looks extra fishy, I'll reel it off that bank, because even that cut bank has got a little bit of eelgrass the first few feet off of it. And I want to keep that bait up high. I don't want to drop that into the weeds right out of the gate. But once I get that first 3 to 5, maybe even 10 feet off the bank, I'll kill it and just let that thing nosedive right to the bottom. I'm anywhere from 3 to 5 feet right off that bank, and I'll hop it and pop it. That's just if a spot's looking a little extra fishy. That's the great thing about a swim bait, is that you can cover a lot of water and then instantly turn it into a jig. And looking for a good swim bait, you want a good body roll in a swim bait. Yeah, you've got the tail on the back, but you want to kind of look for that good body wag or roll, if you will. The other thing that I'll do is I'll kind of pair the head of my jig to the body of my bait. This happens to be a Yum pulse bait. If, let's say, I'm dealing with a bait that doesn't have as much action, I will go to a heavier head. So when it does fall, the bait will engage and that tail falls as it falls, the tail wags on the way down. Otherwise, I'll probably get away with the lightest head that I can and still have that bait wag its tail on the fall. This is a 1/4 ounce. I can fish a lighter head, but I'm fishing a 1/4 ounce right now because I'm in the current and I want a little more control of my bait. as opposed to just letting the current take it. I'm kind of pinpointing my casts, and I get a lot more control with that just a little bit heavier head. But like I said, with a lighter head, I've fished it with the lighter head, and this bait has got a lot of good action. And then on the retrieve, it's got a nice body roll. You can see right here as I put it in the water, and this is just from the current. The current's not real fast right now, but I mean, if I hold it up next to the surface of the water, you can see that puppy. It's got a real nice wag and roll to it. There we go. He's jumping. Hooked him and he jumped immediately. Coming up. Oh, good enough. I'll take him. He's a sporty one. Oh, he just tossed my plastic. That's a few fish though on that plastic, so I'm all right with that. I gotta put a new one on, but there it is, little Braid swim bait river action.